was torn apart by oppression.
Open up.
Reminds me of I and myself.
Open up.
I should look into this.
And open up here. We're playing multiplayer games? Sometimes. I initially started out this channel streaming multiplayer games, so how I first started like Twitch streaming and then eventually moved on to platforms like YouTube. I say platforms like YouTube, that's the only other platform I'm on, unless Twitter counts, so I shouldn't say like it, it's the only other one. But how I started out was playing Smash 4, so Smash 4 Wii U, viewer games. I would typically play like For Glory if there was no one else around to hop into games, or I would you know, play with people when they were stopping in, where they would face off against my Jigglypuff, which is where one of the first emotes of the channel came from, was this thing Bob here, the first emote that I ever drew, which is this right here, back from when I started out streaming multiplayer games of Smash 4 viewer games. That was what I initially started as, and then I started branching out into Dead by Daylight, another multiplayer game that I really liked to play at the time. And, you know, that was what I was streaming for the most part, was mostly Smash 4 and Dead by Daylight were like my two kind of main games. Yes. So I wasn't confident enough of my digital art abilities, so I drew it physically first. was the case. I looked at a whole bunch of Jigglypuff images online for references and stuff to like kind of combine them and make my own design along with the hibiscus that comes with like my Jigglypuff alt and stuff. And then I digitalized it, and then I accentuated some of the details after it was digital. Like I made the eyes larger, for example, and made it the high emote. A lot of the emotes here were things that I've drawn as I've over the years gotten like more confident in digital art abilities than initially starting out, where I literally never dabbled in digital art before was the case. But yeah, so I started out streaming multiplayer games, and from time to time I would do like the odd playthrough here and there. Like I have a lot of games on my shelf here. If I ever felt like streaming a game from that shelf there, I would just pick it up and I'd stream it, you know, would be the case. So there are a lot of short playthroughs that we did in the early days of stuff that I was passionate about, like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon that we'd stream there. Sometimes I'd stream some new releases like Kirby Star Allies or Octopath Traveler when that released. But for the most part, I was doing mostly multiplayer stuff and just doing like some playthrough things on the side here and there was the case. But I wasn't super duper happy doing it for a good while there. When it came to Smash 4 viewer games, I started to notice how people were only really coming in to like play games against me. I would try really hard to like be an entertaining content creator and make conversation with people and stuff like that, but it felt like no matter what I did, people were coming to my stream to grind against me. Like, what other stream are you gonna go to that's gonna like give you the opportunity to grind against Jigglypuff, the quote-unquote worst character of Smash 4. I don't think she was the worst character. She wasn't great, but, you know, she wasn't the worst there. And yeah, it's, I quite like my room here, my old gaming office. But, I was getting a little bit, you know, down on myself there, and rather than doing viewer games, I eventually had to change that to, like, regulars, I decide. So, basically, if I decide that you were a regular, you would get to play games against me. And, this has led to some people being really upset with me, being like, what do you mean I'm not a regular? I stop by here all the time, when they were only stopping by for me for games. Always play either Jiggly or Link on Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I mean, the rest is super fun, you know? It's super silly. This is a lot of destruction going on here, isn't it? Can I, like, knock you off here? So yeah, it was a weird time in the channel there when I, you know, started trying to shift away from doing viewer games because, you know, I was kind of miserable doing it, was the thing. Because I want to do viewer games for a few reasons. One, I wanted to meet new people, introduce, like, new people to the stream, get to know them, and reward my regulars. Reward the people who are regularly stopping by giving them the opportunity to, like, hop in and play this game with me. And by changing it to regular games, that means that I wasn't able to do, like, the first objective of, like, meeting new people that way. But, you know, it did mean that I was able to better reward, you know, people who are stopping in, like, genuinely because of the stream and hanging out here and stuff like that, rather than just those who, you know, want to play against me. So I was a little bit stressed out when it was like I switched to play any other game and like my viewership just vanishes just like that. But if I'm streaming some other game and I switch to Smash Bros, it's like everyone that follows me just for Smash would have their spidey sense go off, and they just know, like, on the spot that I switch to Smash somehow, and would immediately flood into the stream, and I was like, and would, like, fill up the queue, and it's like, man, you're not the guys I want to play against. I want to play against the friendos who were stopping by here regularly, you know, so I eventually stopped doing Smash viewer games. I was still playing some Dead by Daylight on the side for a while, but that game kind of got worse and worse with time, and I haven't played Dead by Daylight in close to a year now. Don't really play that game much anymore. I was into Smash Ultimate a little bit when that came out. I was streaming some events with that. I never went back to doing viewer games ever again. Those days were behind me. I did get involved as a competitive Smash Ultimate commentator for a little while after one of my mods of the time, this was back in 2019, reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm part of this Smash crew called VGLS, Video Game Life Sentence, and, you know, there are a whole bunch of nerds that are in this competitive crew playing this game, but they don't have anybody that has, like, the equipment, like, capture card, microphone, and streaming setup to be able to stream that kind of thing, and he had asked me if I'd be willing to stream some of their crew battles and events and tournaments and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, I'd be interested, and one thing led to another, and for a while I was the quote-unquote official crew streamer of Video Game Life Sentence. So I got involved as a commentator on that. I was regularly streaming crew battles. So I was very rarely streaming myself playing Smash Ultimate. I was more so streaming myself commentating Smash Ultimate. was the case. Smack. So, got involved with that. I, also in 2019, for the first time, went to a local LAN gaming event called Fragapalooza, and I played in the Smash tournaments there, and won them, and got to know the, staff and stuff through that. And then, you know, COVID started, and one thing led to another, and I became the, Smash Ultimate tournament organizer for Fragapalooza as well. So, for the past few years, I've commentated and hosted their events online for COVID. Last year, we did a hybrid event where it's like, normally we have like several hundred people, all for this 4-day, what the heck, LAN gaming party in this like rec center gymnasium area, all lined up with our gaming setups and stuff like that. Last year, we did a hybrid event, like a smaller community center thing that had like 50 to 60 people. And we still hosted like all our events online, so it's like, yeah, there's some space here for some people to come together, but, you know, we're still hosting things online and stuff like that, and doing things there. One of the mods of this channel won a freaking monitor at last year's Fragapalooza. Carvia, that nerd there, who lives in California. That was pretty crazy there. But we're going back to full in-person next year, but I've been, like, a Smash commentator for that once-a-year event now as well, is the thing. If we're going back to full in-person this year, though, I might want to play in it rather than commentate it, maybe. We shall see. I'm sure I'll still help with the organization. But anyway, so I was involved with Smash Ultimate for a little while through that. It was pretty neat, but eventually I realized that it was kind of difficult to have the time to do all these things, and I appreciate you saying that there. And I'll continue helping out with, like, Fragapalooza and stuff like that. I haven't worked with, like, VGLS for a good while, and it sounds like VGLS hasn't done much in terms of, like, competitive Smash stuff in a good while. It sounds like nowadays it's just kind of, like, a chill server of people, like, playing Smash together rather than pursuing it all that competitively. And, you know, things have kind of fizzled out there, essentially. So, sweet! So I can go back now, is the case. So those were the multiplayer games that I streamed, was the case. Apart from, like, single-player games that we've done around here that have multiplayer aspects that I stream briefly. But eventually, my priorities kind of shifted. On this channel, I initially started out just doing games that I was comfortable with. The games I'd already played, that I was already established with, games that I was passionate about, games from that shelf there. That's what I was streaming initially. But, you know, as the years went on, I would always get, like, all these game suggestions, like, oh, you should play this game, you should play that game, and all these things I'd heard amazing things about, and I've really, really diversified my gaming palette over the years, and finally gotten around to trying things that I'd heard great things about, but I'd never played before that I can now say are under my belt. Like, last year we played Nier Replicant and Nier Automata, for example. We also started the Metal Gear series with the retro games, which means we're going to be starting Metal Gear Solid this year. I finally tried out Persona 5 when that was added to new consoles. We recently beat the main game of that, and I was like, holy crap, that was amazing! I'm really glad I played that game. You know, so I'm out here playing things I never would have played otherwise. And, I realized that if I did invest that time into multiplayer games, it would, you know, lessen, the amount of single-player games that I'm able to get through. So, while back before I was a content creator, I really did enjoy playing multiplayer games like Smash 4 and Dead by Daylight, and that did initially start my content creation journey, was carrying that stuff over, is dumping lots and lots of hours into that. I, over time, have begun to much prefer the stance of, what if all those, like, hundreds of hours that I could invest into multiplayer games, I instead do single-player stuff that does have a definitive start and end. And over the past, like, 5 years of this channel, I now have over 150 full playthroughs completed. It's insane. And I have, like, all this gamer credit. And whenever I'm making video essays and I'm drawing examples of, like, other, like, stuff that a game could do, I usually have footage of a game that I've played that does that exact thing. Like, whoops, I did not mean to hit A an extra time. So, I don't really play multiplayer games at all anymore. Apart from, very rarely, I'll play Smash Ultimate with some of my friends. But, I don't pursue it competitively. I do commentary very seldomly nowadays, usually just with Fragapalooza once a year. And nowadays, I'm having fun, like, going through, you know, single-player game after single-player game and saying I have all this gamer credit under my belt. Like, after this game is done, in terms of our Assassin's Creed series, we'll just have Odyssey, Valhalla, and then, like, Mirage when it comes out, and other things if they release during this time. Like, I'm this close to being able to say that I've beaten every single Assassin's Creed game, including the spin-offs. Like, stuff like that. It's like, I'm amassing all this gamer credit, you know, and it's cool. You know, all these new experiences under my belt, and all these games that I never would have tried had it not been for this channel, and, you know, getting into unfamiliar territory, trying new things. And sometimes I do end up playing games that I don't actually like that much, where it's like, okay, I got out of my comfort zone, I tried this, I didn't actually like it that much. Usually I do end up liking things, though, and either way, even with things that I really don't like, I still am glad that I played them. Sure, let's go ahead and go over and do that. Like, there have been some games that people recommend to me for a long time, and I finally tried them out, and it turns out I really don't like them. Like Okami several years ago, where I kept on hearing from people that was, like, a masterpiece that everyone's got to experience. I tried it, and I was like, like, I get why people like it, but it's not my cup of tea. And it was also handled really weirdly for the Switch version. Like, the Switch version was pretty glitchy, was the case. But even so, I can still say that it's like a game that I've played now. I have that experience, and if anyone's ever chatting about that game, I can offer my 2 cents on it, you know? So, there was that. I used to do a lot more multiplayer games, and back when, I also used to try 100%ing games a lot more, was the case. Yoink, I'll take that. Maybe I can grab those materials that are over there as well, because that could be handy. Like, when I was growing up, it's like, you know, money's limited. I should try to get the most value out of each of the games that I play, and I started trying 100% games, and I tried to do that with as many games as I could. Nowadays, that has shifted to just trying to complete as many full playthroughs on this channel as I can, because I can feel content in knowing that that playthrough, like, it's done forever, it's always going to be archived in the VOD, anyone can go back to watch any of the old playthroughs over the years at any given time. Like, I'm amassing a library, bit by bit, of, like, experiences and adventures here and stuff like that. And that feels cool to me. So sometimes I'll still 100% games if, where's the thing? Oh, there it is. If it's one I'm really passionate about, like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, for example. But usually, I just try to, like, see them through to the end. And then I get to move on to the next game and the next experience that I've never tried before. And it's cool. I like this stance. It's not very driven. Also respect that you have an open mind for games. Some people are so narrow-minded, like they only want to play FPS or only RPG. Yeah. There's a lot of people that feel very gravitated towards certain types of games. I play literally everything. I think the only genre that we haven't done all that much on this channel is, like, dating sims. But even that we have done a game of, namely the KFC dating sim that released several years ago. And, like, that multiplayer game that I used to play a whole lot, Dead by Daylight, last summer they released a dating sim based off of it as, like, a joke. I don't know why. And I still think it'd be fun to play through that with, like, some of my friends that I used to play Dead by Daylight with. So, might do a second one of those. But apart from that, I don't really think that there's any one genre that we haven't really done all that much of on this channel. Like, I literally just do a little bit of everything. Like, I still focus on mostly Nintendo stuff. It's what I grew up with. So, you know, it's what I have the most experience in, so you know, my main console that I own is a Switch, and I'll play any of the really big releases that come out for that. While, you know, PC is my everything else thingamabob here. But even with that, I still play a little bit of everything, essentially. You know, I have a group of friends who play games with, and one of yours was Dead by Daylight. What do you think of it? There. Out of curiosity. Oh, I could have done this thingamabob here. Let's go do some things over here. One of the fun things I've enjoyed about Assassin's Creed Origins here is just rambling about topics like this while running around and completing objectives and gaining experience. So let's do that. How about, you know, that's the case. Because I used to be big into Dead by Daylight for a long time. 2 of the mods of this channel, no, 3 of the mods of this channel I met through Dead by Daylight was a thing. 2 before I was a content creator, and 1 while I was a content creator who discovered the stream through that, and then, you know, is nowadays a mod of the channel. Is the case. So literally like half of the mod team here I met through Dead by Daylight. So I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for that game. I have 1,500 hours in it. Maybe more than that even, honestly. Last I checked it was 1,500 though. But yeah, liking it to eating McDonald's, it's delicious but also not great for you. That's honestly probably a pretty good way to describe Dead by Daylight. Quite frankly. You know. And over time, I feel like it just kind of got worse and worse, that game. It got more and more frustrating. I made a whole dedicated video essay like a couple of years ago on what makes Dead by Daylight frustrating. So many things that could be changed with it. But, it's not a bad game by any means. I wouldn't have had as many hours in it as I do. And I don't even like horror games, typically. But Dead by Daylight was just funny to me, and it's not even all that scary, so, what the heck? Oh. Where's the, market, please? So yeah, I have a lot of hours in DVD. Come on, this is the way we go. I'm sure I could still have fun playing with friendos and stuff like that, but I don't really play it anymore. Because while I could, I used to sometimes do kind of viewer games with Dead by Daylight as well, if I was doing like Survive with friends. Because while, you know, if I'm playing with someone in Smash 4 with viewer games there, I'd have to take time away that I'm playing with other people. And Dead by Daylight, it's like joining into the same group, no big deal. It doesn't take me away from something I would otherwise doing there. So I would sometimes still do viewer games with that, or at least playing that with friendos. And I'm sure if I did stream more Dead by Daylight again, I'd have people that I could hop in with and like have a good time. But I figure, why invest more hours into this multiplayer game? I already have 1,500 hours in, when I can instead do more adventures like this that do have a definitive start and end point. Like, I'm doing all this side stuff here and stuff, but, you know, there's a finite amount of it. I'm probably not going to 100% this game. This will still give me experience that helps me get on through it, but I can feel good about doing this adventure knowing that there will be an end point. Because, yeah, like I was mentioning with me wanting to 100% games back in the day, it's because, you know, money's limited. Money's still limited, but, you know, nowadays the Twitch and YouTube channel is big enough that I make more than I spend on the channel itself. So, like, I just reinvest what I make into the channel, whether that be getting, like, equipment like this, or picking up any games for the channel. So, you know, if there's any game that I want to, you know, cover on the channel, I do that using channel funds. I keep a separate PayPal, like, separate from my bank account that's just, like, the revenue made from the channel. And I use that to get things for the channel, to keep on doing new things, getting cooler equipment to reinvest it and stuff, you know? So,
the Roman presence here is zealous.
So in that respect, I don't have to worry about, you know, being like, oh man, I can't afford to get these other games. I can do so. And luckily I'm financially stable enough that I can get through university without taking out student loans. Should be able to, at least. So it's like, I'm comfortable, content, having fun, like, getting all these different gaming experiences, you know, is the thing. And, trying to get, like, some of the most gamer credit you'll ever see out there with the amount of games that I've, gone through. So, I enjoy that. Will you see me if I, Oh yeah, you are facing this way. Well, whatever. Whatever, I guess. Oh, my flaming sword sets things on fire around me with their flammable... Did I just burn? Was it not showing my health decreasing? Yeah, I enjoy it. I have a good time with it. Is definitely the case. Sometimes I do get a little bit overwhelmed with, like, the ongoing games on the channel, because I like to put... Are you guys transporting something? No. I like to put a lot of things on my shoulders, for example. Like, if I, pull up Discord and the, schedule thingamabob here. I have a bad habit of doing, like, so many games at once. We beat SpongeBob Cosmic Shake earlier today. We, beat SpongeBob Cosmic Shake and then, did this. So I can delete this. Just added that as a footnote rather than editing this. So there's probably just, like, a smidge left to this. I only have a tiny bit left to wrap up in Pokemon Scarlet and, you know, probably about half of Pokemon Coliseum left, so that's not too bad. A lot still to go with Fire Emblem Engage. And we're in the final bits of Persona 5, so, like, it's a bit, but it's under control for now. This is technically multiplayer. When it comes to doing multiplayer, sometimes we do co-op playthroughs around here. So I'm doing this with, like, you know, fellow mods, but it's tricky because we have to find times that work for everybody. So we do, like, a session of this, like, once per month or something like that. I haven't touched these for a good while, so that might be, not done there. Minecraft has been a little bit of a stressful thing because I watched a lot of Minecraft content creators growing up, and I was like, huh, I want to do a series like that one day that's actually highly edited. So while stuff like this is, you know, super easy because I just stream it on Twitch, I cut it up into parts and then I slap it on YouTube and then, hey, done there. Minecraft actually takes editing time, and it's like, ah, how can I stay on top of this? It's stressful, but under control. And then combine that with video essays, like the, it can be stressful sometimes, but I have fun doing it at the end of the day. Like, as I was mentioning earlier in the stream, the thing that most people probably know my channel for nowadays is my Pokemon video essays. I think it was after the announcement of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus that I just was like, wow, this situation sucks, I want to make a video on this. And I did. And nowadays it has over 1 million views, and I'm like, what the heck? How did that happen? But because that video performed so well, I was like, huh, maybe I should make, you know, individual video essays on these games as they release. So I made one on a BDSP. That one's approaching 1 million now, which is crazy. I made one on Legends Arceus. Not as much on that one. That one's like 300,000 something or other. So it's like, okay. Well, now it's like tradition around here. I gotta make one on Pokemon Scarlet and Scarlet and Violet. So I've been working on that, and that's been my major time sink nowadays. Like, if, you know, I didn't have to worry about, you know, growing things here and, you know, growing this as a business and stuff like that, and was just casually playing games like it initially started as, then I probably wouldn't make video essays on that kind of thing at all. I'd probably do it on topics I'm a little bit more passionate about. I am passionate about Pokemon, evidently, from my room here, but, you know, with the amount of time those take, I don't know if I'd want to do one of, like, every game. But I gotta acknowledge at this point in the channel, it's like, if I want to keep on growing things here, I gotta, you know, not always work on projects that are the exact thing that I want to work on at any given time, you know, is the case. So that is a source of stress. Gosh dang it, I suck at video games. So that's one, interesting way that things have gone, you know. One interesting turn there. Yeah, we're going at this again. It's fine. Let's mark Dudos here. But, you know, it can be stressful at times, but not enough so that I'd regret doing it. If it was enough so that I'd regret doing it, I just wouldn't do it. Like, it's my choice at the end of the day, you know? But yeah, you do what you have to do sometimes, is the case. And luckily, Pokemon is something that I'm passionate about that, you know, it's not a super big deal making crazy video essays about that. But it is pretty crazy. Like, it's a very weird feeling having obligations to, you know, work on projects like this. And what, you know, those are typically going to be the things that have, like, the highest performance on the channel. And, you know, stuff like this I'm doing for fun. Stuff like my Assassin's Creed series does not get a whole lot of reception on the channel. If I was focused completely on, you know, views and retention and stuff like that, I'd probably only be, you know, playing Pokemon. Make an essay on something worth to complain for? Like something else in addition there? Something else that has a whole bunch of flaws? Well, that's going to be Xenoblade Chronicles 3 as a future big project. At least that's still a really good game. It just has a lot of flaws, in my opinion. Is the case there. Where am I going with my train of thought at this point? Oh yeah, it's an interesting road that's taken. And I realize that, you know, by doing a bazillion games on the channel like this, I am probably shooting myself in the foot. If I, like, only cared about viewership and stuff like that, I'd probably only work on essays and probably only make Pokemon content. I realized that playing as many crazy games that are so dissimilar to one another on the channel probably shoots myself in the foot, since a lot of people will only be stopping by for one thing. Especially considering whenever anybody asks me about, like, when can we expect to see this on the channel? 99% of the time, it's when's the next Pokemon essay coming out, you know? Like, I have people ask me a decent bit in comments and, sometimes in the Discord server. Like, when's the Scarlet and Violet video essay? Like, when's it done? It's done when it's done. Like, it's taken me a while here. Man, you know, it's kind of the case. But, you know, still more fun doing it than stress. But it is really crazy that this thing that I started doing, like, this thing where I started playing multiplayer games of Smash 4 and Dead by Daylight on this channel just for fun, figuring, hey, I'm playing these games anyway, may as well stream it, did end up spiraling into an actual business that now is, like, a mix of doing things that are just fun and I'm passionate about, like this, that don't get as much retention, and doing things that continue to grow the business and, you know, bring this a step further and stuff like that. So it's a weird position I've found myself in, you know, but it's cool. You know, it is cool. I do consider myself lucky to be able to say that I do have, like, an actual business playing video games and stuff like that, you know. Like, officially as well, I just this last December properly registered as a business because apparently there's, like, tax benefits when you're paying other people. Like, sometimes I pay people for editing. I usually edit most things myself, but sometimes we'll, you know, outsource that elsewhere. Same with, you know, commissioning thumbnail art, so recently registered as an official business. Thank you for telling me about all the stuff there. The BTS stuff? Wait, I don't know what BTS stands for. Never even thought that's how all this worked. Oh, but that probably stands for behind the scenes, I would imagine there. Yeah, it's, interesting here. I mean, anyone that does, like, make a business out of, you know, content creation, if they were doing it out of purely Twitch streaming, it would have to be a channel that's, like, a lot bigger than this one, you know? For my entire, like, 5 years now of streaming, my regular viewership has not really changed all that much, you know? Anywhere from, like, 0 to 15 viewers is usually my range on a Twitch stream. On a YouTube stream, it's usually, like, 10 to 35 is the range, because, like, my YouTube channel is the larger thing. And I have thought about giving up Twitch and, going purely over to YouTube, but I don't know. I feel like, I'm more comfortable here, I don't know. If Twitch keeps going downhill with... Gosh dang it! Twitch keeps going downhill with some of their decisions and the way the platform has been going, then maybe that day might happen. I might jump ship one day, but there's that there. But yeah, it's interesting, my whole situation that I found myself in here is the thing. It would be really cool if I could make video essays on topics that I'm just passionate about or have, like, you know, more serious real-world implications, and them get, like, the same reception. Like, the last video essay that I posted was on a JRPG from 1994 that I played on the channel last year, a remake of it more specifically, that made some really interesting arguments about the technology and AI that I was like, huh, that's actually really cool stuff to, like, keep in mind about how we foster technology, and an argument that, you know, most players won't realize, that I only realized because I took a class on social robots, you know? Was the thing. I took a whole class on AI is the only reason I was able to recognize that. And I made a video essay about the arguments that it made, and my own stance on how we should continue to, like, grow and foster technology, continuing to have, like, a respect for it, rather than just seeing it as, like, a machine that is, you know, designed to achieve this one singular purpose, you know, essentially. And something like that, you know, has these serious real-world implications and, you know, makes an argument about the way that we should handle, things. That kind of thing, I think that's at, like, 500 some views. Whereas Pokemon essays, hundreds of thousands. It's like, okay, people would rather see me say why Pokemon's not so great than, you know, learn, like, some other interesting perspectives about the world there. But that's just typically the way the interwebs is. I've also been working in the background on another video essay that would have, like, some real-world implications, namely on the depiction of villains in media, and how a lot of media will show them as, like, these irredeemable, dehumanized figures that you surpass simply by overpowering them, by having more power than them, defeating them, getting the good ending, and rolling the credits and stuff like that. and how with the influences that media has on people's lives, I feel like a lot of people adopt this mentality whenever they see someone they disagree with, or someone does something that they don't like, where rather than, you know, trying to reason things out with them, help one another understand conflicting views, and, you know, have a respectful discussion, people on the internet would usually rather just, like, villainize one another, try to ruin one another's lives, try to, like, defeat the other person with sheer power, rather than with respect. And that's something that we've actually seen, like, recently, with the latest Harry Potter game that recently came out, where, like, the interwebs is seemingly up in arms, coming at each other, being like, you're playing the new Harry Potter game? That means that you're transphobic. It's like, no, it means that someone's playing a video game that they enjoy playing. You should judge people by the quality of their character, not the freaking video games they play, you know? So, that might end up being the next video essay project after Scarlet and Violet, maybe, if I can figure out how to frame it in such a way that shows I'm not taking anyone's side here. I'm just saying, like, let's try to have respect for one another and stuff, you know. I have a cousin who's a philosophy professor that I reached out to him for his opinion on the matter, and he said that that's a really interesting topic there, and he asked for my email because otherwise texting, like, he would destroy his fingers. So I gave him my email, and I haven't heard from him yet, which leads me to believe that my cousin might be working on, like, a whole dedicated paper to send me on this topic, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, got some good friends if you ever want to hang, play games, and do the Discord thing. If you don't worry, he's gonna head out at 3 AM for you and have to get up and work in the morning. Nice to meet you. We'll be back to talk about more Assassin's Creed because you love it, and you do love Pokemon too. Nice. Well, it was nice to meet you there, Ashley. I hope you have an awesome rest of the night, and take care there. Harry Potter game debacle is literally Streisand effect at its finest. I haven't actually heard about Streisand effect. What is that there? Why can't I assassinate you? What the heck was that? Uh-oh. Whoa. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Stab. Please don't kill me with the flames. Oh. I'm sketchy out. My goodness. Streisand effect phenomena in which an attempt to censor, hide, or otherwise draw attention away from something only serves to attract more attention to it. Yeah. Oh yeah, that sounds about right then. That sounds about right in that case. Like, I know basically nothing about Harry Potter. I've seen all the movies like once. This game would not have been on my radar if it wasn't for, like, the internet battlefield going on over it right now. You know? It's the case. I have no idea how the heck to get down there. Not a clue. There's gotta be, like, some sort of way in and around here, right? I am confuzzled. But yeah, anyway. If there's any good way to sum up this ramble, it is a very interesting position that I found myself in, where it's like, I would like to continue making video essays on topics like this that aren't just, here's why this video game isn't good, like, things that actually have, like, real world, like, importance, like the one on Live Alive, like this one on Villains that I might do as, like, the next project. Like, I like making stuff like that, and, you know, trying to make the world a better place, trying to teach some important lessons, trying to diversify some views, stuff like that. You know, try to leave, like, my impact in a positive way, and not just be known as, like, the guy that says why Pokemon is bad, you know? Essentially, but I know that I can't just do completely that and be able to, you know, continue to grow this channel off of that. I realize that I need to strike a balance and be doing things that do continue to grow this business, like my Pokemon essays. I can't just do, like, these other projects if I want to be serious about this.
I am an Egyptian like yourself.
But again, I'm passionate about Pokemon, so, you know, it's not like I'm going into completely uncharted territory for the sake of that. It's not like I'm one of those content creators that's completely miserable in the thing that they're, you know, covering, because I'm not. But, you know, I would be happier doing, you know, absolutely everything that's just like, here's, like, some interesting arguments and real world lessons and implications and stuff like that. I know that there are some content creators that do make, like, an actual full-time job out of content creation that do find themselves, like, really miserable in it because they get, like, locked into a thingamabob. Like, the closest equivalent for me being locked into would be, like, Pokemon content / Pokemon essays. if I wanted to just purely grow numbers. In the early days of my channel, it would have just been continuing with like Smash 4 viewer games. If I really wanted to, you know, grow the channel to the highest degree at the very beginning of my journey, it would have just been like, just commit to Smash 4 viewer games and stuff like that. It's where I was getting the most viewership and establish myself as someone that does Smash 4 viewer games. And I could grow my channel off of that. But then people would establish me solely as someone that does Smash viewer games of Smash 4, Smash Ultimate, or what have you. And if I tried to switch to something else, it might be a little bit more sketchy, you know, because you kind of get locked into things. This is something that has occurred for a lot of content creators out there. One of the really big examples that comes to the forefront of my mind is the content creator that actually originally inspired me to start streaming in the first place, being Otofu. I first found out about Twitch in like late high school, something like that, from one of my friends at the time. And that was right when Dead by Daylight had just recently come out. And I decided to look for some Twitch streams to find out what was going on with this game. And I found the streamer Otofu, who nowadays is one of the biggest Dead by Daylight streamers, but at the time was, oh, come on! But at the time was literally just doing, like, streaming because he had moved to Canada to be with his wife and did not have, like, his work visa yet. He had to wait a little bit, so he's like, well, instead of waiting around twiddling my thumbs doing nothing, let's do some streaming in the meantime. And little did he know at the time that, you know, Dead by Daylight was going to become, like, as big a game as it would end up being. And, he got very much an early mover bonus by, you know, being one of the creators that was able to grow with the game during its infancy. Like, if you as a creator want to become established in just one game, if you're able to grow with it right at the beginning, especially before a time that it's known for sure that it's going to be a big thing, like before everyone and their mother is streaming it, when it's just a small thing that not that many people are streaming but is going to grow into something, that has a lot of potential, and it did end up spiraling for him, and nowadays he's one of the biggest, like, Dead by Daylight content creators out there. But putting in, like, tens of thousands of hours into Dead by Daylight now, like he has, it's not exactly, like, I haven't been by the stream as much nowadays in recent years, so I don't know as much about what's going on with his channel nowadays. You know, we, still know each other. We had, like, some good Dead by Daylight shenanigans back in the day, but I don't hang around there as much. Fun fact, he's a freaking even raided this channel during Dark Souls a couple of years ago, interestingly enough. That was the most viewers I ever had. Getting raided by him there. But anyway, over the years while I was there, I was a regular around that community for a few years' time, ever since shortly after high school. And I could see the Dead by Daylight strain on him, you know, as the years went on, of him starting to get pretty tired of doing just that solo game over and over again. Because, yeah, he did end up, you know, getting lucky with, you know, that game there and being able to make a job out of it. But pretty much just that game. If he switched to any other video game that he wanted to play just for fun, it typically would not do enough, like, viewership-wise to be able to make a job out of it, you know. He wouldn't be able to do it consistently, so he'd have to continue putting significant hours into his main job of Dead by Daylight, and by streaming other things, he'll be shooting himself in the foot. So, for a time, he tried to get into some other games in the same way that he did Dead by Daylight, at the beginning, in its infancy, to be able to grow with it, and see if he could get lucky that way, and move away from Dead by Daylight in that sense. And there was a couple of games that he tried that with. One of the notable ones was Apex Legends that he was streaming for a while. He was doing that for a few months, and then eventually dropped it. I remember during his final stream of Apex Legends was doing viewer games, just for the sake of it being the final one, and I'd never played Apex, so I joined into that for funsies, and it said that I was the champion of the last game, even though I'd never played. It was pretty funny. But anyway. Tried that with Apex Legends, but, you know, was not able to be one of the ones that really grew and took off with it. That title wound up going to some other creators. But the really big one that he tried to get into is a game that most people probably have never even heard of at this point. It was called Darwin Project. It was a new Battle Royale game that, rather than being like 100-some people, it was 10 people. It was kind of interesting. I never played it myself. It started out as a paid game, I believe, was the thing. And it had some promising stuff going on there. So, for a while, he had switched to streaming Darwin Project, like, full-time. Wasn't streaming Dead by Daylight at all anymore, and had switched over to Darwin Project. And, of course, the viewership took, like, a major hit, but he was hoping that if, you know, the channel could grow by streaming Darwin Project, that, you know, would eventually be able to make a career out of that, essentially, even if the numbers hurt right then, even if it hurt, you know, his ability to earn an income there. For a Darwin project, it somehow lost the time. Yeah, it had, like, some promise in the very beginning, and, you know, he was pretty passionate about it for a little while, despite, you know, the financial hit that he was taking on by streaming that. But eventually, the developers kind of made a lot of decisions that really killed that game. I can't say off the top of my head what all of them are. I'm fairly certain that one of them was making it free to play, and then having a whole bunch of costumes and stuff like that that drastically changed who the player base was. There was a bunch of mechanics that they changed around in ways that the player base didn't like, and oh my goodness. And eventually it just kind of fizzled out and lost its relevancy, and this attempt of his to grow with a game, like a new game to get away from Dead by Daylight there, ended up resulting in failure, because, you know, if you want to grow with a game in its infancy, it can't be a game that everyone knows is going to be big at the beginning. Because if everyone knows it's going to be big in the beginning, you're already going to have a lot of streamers at the get-go. It has to be something like Dead by Daylight, where it's a sleeper hit, where there's not going to be a lot of creators at the beginning because people don't expect it to be big, but it turns out to be big. That was his gamble, and it turned out to be a failure. The game died, it lost its relevancy, it has now been lost to time, and what ended up happening? He had to go back to Dead by Daylight, and now has continued to stream Dead by Daylight for years, is the thing, and now has, like, an absolutely brutal amount of hours. And I'm not as much by that stream nowadays. Nowadays, I don't have a lot of time for tuning into other Twitch streams, because usually I'm either streaming games myself if I'm on Twitch, or tuning into, like, some close streamer friends that are, you know, a lot closer to my channel size that, you know, that I can support and network with and stuff like that, you know, is the case. And I figure someone that has, like, thousands upon thousands of viewers doesn't, you know, need the support as much. I'd rather support, like, my fellow smaller streamers, so the little time that I get for tuning into streams on Twitch, I usually do for that. But I'll sometimes stop in there, like, once or twice a year to, like, check in on things. And, I did, like, last week for the first time this year, and one of the rambles that ended up happening in that stream was talking about how the last couple of years, aka, like, years that I wasn't really there, have apparently been, like, really mentally rough, and apparently things are better now, but that there have been some mental rough times and, like, some hurdles to get over. And he didn't, you know, delve into the specifics of what that was, you know, I guess it being a bit personal there. But from what I'd seen from him over the years, and, you know, his clear efforts to get away from this game that he turned into his career, I can have some guesses like that about what some factors like that could be. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot more to the overall picture, that it's not, you know, as simple as getting tired of, like, one video game. But I'm sure that that's definitely a factor, considering he'd made, like, active efforts to get away from it and continue to be able to have this career in streaming, but without playing Dead by Daylight, which, during every attempt, has ended in failure, and has resulted in him having to go back to Dead by Daylight if he wants to be able to continue making a career off of it. That's kind of like me with video essays. My video essays aren't at a point where I'd be able to rely on that, like, as, you know, a job, as, like, my actual full income. They do make, like, some pretty decent revenue, but not, like, that much where I'd be able to make a job out of it. Which is why I do want to continue growing it during this time that I have in my life alongside university, before I, you know, get super busy afterwards with, like, an actual full-time job, is the thing. Grow it while I can, I figure. But I do worry if I did that I would get, you know, locked in the same kind of way. And again, if I did just care about the numbers and revenue and that's it, I would completely be, you know, focusing on Pokemon essays and Pokemon content, and that's it. That's what most people tune into me for, you know? But it's just, I wouldn't be happy doing it. So that was one of the big reasons for the shift away from multiplayer games, like, early on in my content creation, like, journey, essentially, is also because I didn't want to get locked into anything. I knew that by going variety, my chances of being able to make something of this journey will be greatly, greatly diminished. Like, if you want the best odds of, you know, making something out of content creation, commit to one thing and that's it. Because usually people will then be able to associate your channel with that one thing, and if they want to see that one thing, they go to your channel for that. Rather than, you know, go into my channel for, like, 150 plus potential different games that we've covered at this point, you know? People don't typically people will typically tune into specialists rather than generalists. Some people do enjoy, like, generalists rather than specialists, but most people would like to have, rather than one person that does a bazillion things, have this creator they tune into for that thing, this creator they tune into for that thing, this creator they tune into that for that thing. So, I knew that going variety would be greatly diminishing my chances, you know, would be the case. But it's what I would be the happiest doing. I wouldn't want to end up in a situation where I did make a career out of content creation, but I was locked into just one specific thing and was making myself miserable. As it's something that I'd seen happen with, whoops. As it's something that I'd seen happen with that example story there, you know. I'm curious about the case study of PewDiePie can do seamless transition from big game to other game. I mean, if you're... channels like that, like PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, I feel like have established themselves as variety, you know, pretty well. But, you know, I feel like channels like Markiplier might also be kind of similar to me in the sense of, like, they do variety, but will get the most viewership from one specific thing. For Markiplier, it's horror, and especially FNAF. You know, you compare any of Markiplier's FNAF videos to, like, his other stuff, and his FNAF videos are gonna be, like, massively hitting it off. He is the king of Five Nights at Freddy's, after all, you know? That's kind of like me with video essays slash Pokemon stuff, where it's like, I do variety, and sometimes I can get, like, some decent viewership off variety. Sometimes I do have other video essays that do well, like my Roller Coaster Tycoon one. But I'm generally known for this one really big thing there. The thing that, most people are familiar with Markiplier with nowadays is probably FNAF, if I had to guess. Second most is probably Amnesia, I would imagine. Gosh dang it. Which are both also instances of games that you're able to grow with at, like, its infancy before they really hit it off. What? No! Gosh dang, I'm getting my buttons mixed up. I'd say Markiplier is another very good example of growing a channel through, like, growing alongside a game that really hit it off at a time before people realized that it was going to really hit it off, being Amnesia and FNAF there. Similar to the situation with Otofu and Dead by Daylight, you know? Could I kill Mr. Dudo here, I wonder? Would I have the strength for that? So it really goes to show, like, the power of growing with something in its infancy there. So, like, if you want to try growing a channel and you want to take a gamble off of, like, really hitting it off, make a prediction about something that's going to be big before everyone realizes it's going to be big. That's the best gamble you can make there. But yeah, I personally have no interest in, WoW. That kind of thing myself. Whoa. Okay, let's, like... Whoops. What? Can I really not? Weird, man. Strange. Up and away. Where'd the commander go? Commander's over there. Imagine, though, these guys are coming up here, so I need to, not stick around here too long. Okay, yeah. It's hard to continue my train of thought while this is all happening. Oh, wow, I actually hit him with that. Not in the head, though. Holy crap. I should have done this on the commander guy. I don't know where he is now. He's over there. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. I'll continue this discussion shortly. My goodness. But yeah, anyway, if you're able to establish yourself in variety, it's a lot harder to grow in variety, but if you're able to establish yourself in variety, the reward, chef's kiss, play whatever you want, and people will tune into the channel for you. And I feel like cases like Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, big channels like that, are really good examples of channels where people are probably tuning in for, like, the personalities first and the content second, you know? Done. Area complete. I'm out of here. See ya. As they were able to establish themselves in variety. Still might have some things that, you know, they're more well known for, and, you know, people might want to, you know, go to their channel for more than their other content. like FNAF or Amnesia there, for example, as that was growing, but are able to find success in whatever they're streaming because they were able to establish themselves as variety and people tuning in for the personality. Which is why I figured, you know, as I was getting underway with, like, content creation stuff, that's what I would want to aim for. I know that it's, like, so much harder, but that would be the goal there. I would not want to get locked into, like, one specific thing that I'm miserable in, you know, would be the case. I'm not at all miserable doing video essays, but if I did, you know, shift my focus on my channel to doing only Pokemon and only, like, Pokemon video essays, I would be miserable doing that. I can say that without a doubt. I would not have the variety in my gaming palette that I have with this. I would get so bored of playing, like, so many similar games. Like, it would probably do the best for my channel viewership-wise and stuff. But playing nothing but Pokemon as, like, my content, I would lose my mind. I would go crazy. I love doing this where it's like, you know, I'm doing a bazillion different things. Okay, I don't think I'm doing this at this point, especially not without my my other arrows there, you know. Like, I have fun playing Pokemon in this kind of format where it's like I do it from time to time. It's one of the ongoing playthroughs we have right now with the last little bits of Scarlet and ongoing Pokemon Coliseum. I have fun doing that when it's like, hey, I can stream this kind of thing when I feel like, make progress here and there, and I've got plenty of other games going on that give me variety here. But if those were the only types of games I was playing, I would go crazy. I don't think I can do it. I don't think it would be the case. So, I honestly wonder if I should slap this all into, like, the podcast playlist at the end of the day now, because this has been, like, a very dedicated discussion on this topic at this point, you know. Like, for anyone that wants to get into content creation themselves, like, first and foremost, you gotta be doing, you know, stuff that makes you happy. You gotta, like, it's so hard to get into things content creation-wise to get a foothold established in things. So the first most important thing is to be doing, like, what's fun for you, first and foremost, is a thing, rather than what you feel like is gonna grow your channel, first and foremost, you know. Yeah, I assume this is saying, like, you know, that I could diversify things like that. I don't think that'd be enough for me, you know. I think I need more variety than just that would be the case. But yeah, be doing something because, you know, it's fun, not because you expect anything to come of it. I did not expect anything to come of this. The fact that I can now say that this is, like, an actual registered business is like, wow, that's amazing, and I hold that like a badge of honor. But I never went into this, like, expecting it to ever even get to this point, you know, is a thing. I did it purely for fun. I figured I would make an attempt, I would try my best to, you know, get it to this point, and manage to succeed and stuff, but I wasn't ever having that be, like, the expectation, you know? So, going in without expectations is an important thing. And in terms of, if you do want to make efforts to actually grow things, try to make sure that, you know, you're doing something that doesn't make you miserable. Like, if you are someone that is okay with being locked into one thing, like you're just really passionate about this one game, or this one type of content, doesn't even necessarily need to be video games, then great, you know? If you can be happy consistently doing that, then great. But if you're like me, and know that you would not possibly be able to be happy doing just one thing and that's it for your content, then, like, don't pursue that, you know? Like, even if you are like, man, I know it's gonna make me miserable, but the idea of playing video games for a living is so alluring that I'm gonna go for it anyway. Like, don't. You know how much that's gonna damage your chances of growing? Like, if you're genuinely miserable doing what you're doing? Because your attitude does reflect into, like, the content that you put out. You know, you might think that you might be able to put on an act or a brave face and stuff like that. And I'm sure that we all do from time to time on, like, our off days or stuff like that. Like, I've had to do that around here during times that I've been personally struggling in life. Like, not to say, like, those are massive spans. Like, down days is what I mean. And, like, big life events is what I more so mean there. But if it's on such a consistent basis that, like, you're miserable, like, each day doing, like, the same thing over and over again, it will reflect in your content. And, when I was in Otofu's stream last week, and he was talking about, over the past couple of years, really struggling with, things there. I think it came up shortly after I had, come into the stream and was saying hi and being like, hey, how are things going and stuff like that, and, I think he was talking about, like, the early days or some older days of DVD, and I was like, oh, I remember that, and he was like, oh yeah, of course you were one of the few people that was around, like, way back in the early days. There's not really a whole lot of people, like, that were around the stream back in the early days that are still around here, and then had started talking about how struggling the past couple of years. Had apparently gotten a lot of the regulars that were around that stream for a long time to end up leaving the community and, you know, move on to other stuff. So I don't know what exactly was going on in that stream in the past couple of years, but it sounds like it was some dark kind of times where, you know, things were down, the motivation wasn't really there, and it really goes to show that if you really are going into things like miserable and unmotivated, that does reflect in your content. Like, your viewers, like, a lot of people seem to look at viewers as just like numbers on a screen. Make good content and the numbers on the screen go up, like, abstract it down, because that's what these platforms show us, is just numbers on the screen. But these are all real people tuning in, and your viewers are not idiots. Like, if you're consistently going into things miserable, that is going to reflect in the quality of your content and the outlook that your viewers have on you, you know? People will pick up on that, and it is going to damage you, so. Like, if you can go into, like, one singular thing, commit to one singular thing, and genuinely be happy with that, then good for you, you go for it, you know? But if you can't, if you're purely focused on, like, growing things, and are willing to, you know, make yourself a little bit miserable because of that, don't even try. Your misery is gonna make it, like, more darn near impossible than it already is, you know? Like, it's not worth going for there, is the thing. So, there's that. What? I feel very lucky to have, like, this position of middle ground where, you know, I'm still largely doing things that I'm passionate about here. And, like, the worst case scenario is just there's some things that are making me busy and stressed, aka the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet essay right now. It's not like I'm miserable doing it. As I'm making it, I'm laughing at, like, my edits. I was talking during SpongeBob Cosmic Shake earlier about how I made that, that edit of, like, the When Worlds Collide from SpongeBob. And it was, like, cracking me up, and I might want to make that, like, the intro of the video and stuff, you know. Like, one of the things I didn't mention during SpongeBob Cosmic Shake is over the past couple days, I've just been continuing to rewatch that shitpost that I made, because it cracks me up, you know? And, sometimes my progress in video essays and some of the stuff that I make on this channel can slow because I have a bad habit of, rather than continuing to edit, just continuing to rewatch the one stupid thing that cracks me up, you know? So, you know, there is fun to be had with things like this. Like, I'm very lucky to be in this kind of position. Of course, I'm not in the position right now where I'd have to figure out, how do I do this to support being able to keep the lights on? You know? What the heck? Why can't I? Oh, there we go. You know, if I was at a point where it's like, I need to figure out how to grow this, how to get, like, consistent viewership and revenue to be able to, like, financially support myself, like, in the first place, then matters would change, and I'd probably have to shift focus to the things that do have, you know, more consistent viewership and reception and stuff like that. And, you know, again, things like Pokemon, I do have a lot of passion for. Would I be, like, to what extent would I have to, pursue that kind of thing, and how happy would I be doing it? I feel like that's the kind of thing I wouldn't know the answer to unless I actually start pursuing it, and I have no intention of, doing that at this point when I don't have to. But if it ever came down to that, it really makes me wonder, like, how things would turn out. What would be my mental state to the whole ordeal, and what would therefore the quality of the content I would be churning out would be, you know? Things that I need to consider here, because I have, like, 1.5, maybe 2 years of university left, and then after that, it's probably, you know, go pursue full-time work and not have as much time for this anymore. So I'm trying to make active effort now to grow this while I can, and be able to have this as much of a safety net as I can when the time comes that I don't have as much time to commit to it anymore, you know? It's kind of what I figure. This is a higher level area, so I can't really do too much here. Let's just go around doing fast travel points while we're rambling about this. Because, you know, growing up, I always thought that it would be, like, so cool to be in a position like that. Like, even the position that I'm in already, like this. Like, little kid me would be, like, blown out of his mind if I told him that, yeah, I have my own business playing and reviewing video games. All the all the revenue from the channel gets reinvested into picking up things like those video games. Like, I haven't had to pay for a video game out of, like, my own personal savings account in a few years now. Little kid me would have been like, whoa, that's so cool, you're living the dream. I'm not. Not exactly. It is still something really cool and something that I am really proud of, you know? But it's not exactly sunshine and rainbows all the time, and it's definitely not big enough where... It's big enough where I can buy any of the equipment that I need on the channel or any games that we're covering, but it's not big enough in that I'd be able to, like, do this full-time for sure, financially supporting myself, you know? It would need to get bigger before that point. And because I always thought as a kid, and continue to think to this day, that it would be really cool to make a career out of it. Not just for the fun of playing video games, but also for what I was mentioning earlier about, you know, being able to spread a positive message, make the world a better place, something that I've believed in firmly growing up, especially growing up in an environment like my Taekwondo dojang that really helps to instill those kinds of ideas, as we do around here with, you know, charity events that we typically do twice a year to fundraise for amazing causes like Larch to help those with developmental disabilities, or the Stollery Children's Hospital to help, well, children in the hospital, and other people as well. It's not necessarily children, but, and other charities as well that we sometimes raise for, like the Celiac Society, the Canadian Celiac Association we did an official event for, and stuff like that. Like, I love being able to use this platform and my growth in this field as a force for good to be able to continue making the world a better place and stuff like that. And looking at the impacts that we've already had through things like charity events is really, really cool. Like, late last year, Larch, the, one of the charities that we fundraise for, the one that we fundraise for typically around every May, I was invited to their 50th anniversary event because of that, and I got to meet, like, all kinds of incredible people through that, and it was really cool being able to look around and be like, doing stuff like that is making an impact in these people's lives, and that's something to be proud of, you know? So, I absolutely would love to be able to do this to a degree where, you know, it is like a full-time thing. Not just for my own sake and for my own fun, but also because I'm someone who believes in using it as like a force for good, whereas, you know, I know a lot of people getting into it are just like, yeah, I'm just doing it for myself and that's it. Whereas I feel like if you're in a position where, you know, people can potentially look up to you, kind of look to your views and handle on the world as, like, you know, examples and stuff like that, that, you know, that you should have a responsibility to be leaving a positive impact and stuff like that. So, because I know that once I'm done with university, and, I'm sorry that I'm not paying attention to this at all. I know that once I'm done with university and life gets to, like, all extra crazy or more than it is already right now, that I'm not gonna have as much time for this. So, I figure that I try to grow this as much as I can now to have it be, like, in as supportive, as much of a safety net position as it can be by the time I'm done with university. Best case scenario, by the time I'm done university, I can rely on this and be like, wow, I'm doing... There's no way that's happening. Like, I very, very highly doubt that's in the realm of a, you know, possibility here. But I figure, like, I may as well try my best, because worst case scenario, at the point that it's at right now, I could see myself continuing to do this part-time, like, on the side of other endeavors, like some other full-time job. Like, I'm currently doing this on the side of university, for example, and, you know, doing stuff on this channel is, it's how I play video games nowadays. It's how I unwind and chill and stuff like that, so, I don't even really know what it's like playing video games on my own anymore. Like, if I'm grinding off camera for something on this channel, it feels really weird playing a game and not constantly talking into the microphone, you know, is the case. So I have no doubt that I continue to do this, like, on the side, like, into the future. But how established is it going to be by that point, you know? So I figure I may as well try to grow it as much as I can now to put myself in the best position coming out of university, you know, is kind of what I figure. Stabby stab! Chain throw against someone here. Bam, that was a hella weird throw there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. So, last year, for example, I shifted my editing focus from video essays into the Minecraft series, Peculiar Potions, the thing that I was a little bit more passionate about, my own passion project there, and hoping that it could go somewhere. It didn't. It did not. Which is why this year I'm trying to wrap up this season of Peculiar Potions and, you know, shift focus back into video essays again. Because, you know, if I was doing the thing that I was most passionate about doing, I would commit completely to Peculiar Potions and stuff. But I have to recognize that that's not the thing that's going to help me move forward through this journey. So, I'm gonna get to the end of Season 1, so like episode 30 is the plan there. And then I'm committing focus back into video essays and seeing what I can make out of this to give myself like the best support network that I can by the time the university's done. Is essentially my view on that, so that when I am doing this part-time on the side alongside some other work and other life obligations, like, it can help me out the best by that point. You know, put in the effort now so that future me can be, you know, better off. It's kind of like the mentality that I have when I'm working out in Taekwondo, where, you know, it can sometimes suck right now if you're really pushing yourself to, like, your limits in a workout, but, you know, future you is gonna be thanking you. Like, one of the discussions that our instructor gave us there one day was on this whole notion of, you know, the work that you put in now. And he had asked us one day, like, if you had the ability to change some events in your life, having done the things differently in the past, would you do it? And almost the whole class was like, yeah, we'd do things differently, we'd, you know, handle things better, so on and so forth. And in regards to our training, he gave us the example of, like, at the end of your training, like, when you're currently training, it can be a lot easier to do whatever is the easier thing. You know, like, drop during a workout, give up early, you know, do, like, half of the real thing. How do I phrase things there? Do, like, not the full proper form, do something that feels a little bit easier on your muscles, stuff like that. But once it's all said and done, like, that is done. It's set in stone. Like, you having it easier or worse back then doesn't matter anymore because, you know, now you're in the now, essentially. So why not give it your best in your workout to better yourself and make yourself physically and mentally stronger so that future you can be, like, truly proud of that and not have any regrets, not wish that the future was any different. That's my mentality with my channel right now, essentially. In that, you know, if I was taking it super duper chill and, you know, just doing the things that make me happy and that's it, then I would probably be primarily, like, committing to Peculiar Potions as my main editing project like I was last year. But on reflection of, like, my finite time that I have before university's over here, I've decided to wrap up this season of Peculiar Potions, take a break from it until I feel ready to come back to it again, and be focusing on the things that I know will help me more in the long run, namely being video essays. Because even the day comes that I go back to Peculiar Potions, if, like, the channel's bigger by then there's more attention that goes to things like that anyway, you know? So I'm trying to do what I can to, really? Wow, okay. I'm trying to do what I can to, you know, help support myself the best in the future here, is the case. So, whoa. I would never do it to such an extent that I lock myself into only one thing. Like, I would never do, like, completely video essays on their own. That's it. I'd never lock myself into that. But, come on. Boopity bop, bonk. Really? Wow. Alright, well, area's done. You know, I'll strike this middle ground where it's like, I'm doing some things that can be kind of stressful, some, like, along with the stuff that I do, more so for fun. This is a new area, so that'll be a new fast travel point there, so we can go do that. While not stressing myself out too much here. So, yeah, I marked that one over there. Ah! So, I'm striking a balance here of doing stuff that might not always be the most fun for me. Ah! But, you know, I'm fine with doing. You know, I have enough passion to be doing that. Gosh dang it. I can get through it. But isn't completely committing to just what's fun, like I was at the very beginning here. Evidently, I'm still doing some things that are fun here, like, you know, doing my bazillion playthroughs and diversify my gaming, my gaming palette here. Getting my gamer cred and stuff. Like, I know that Assassin's Creed, for example, is not something on my channel that's gonna bring in, like, much in the way of new viewership or anything like that. But, ooh, there's a thing here. But I have fun doing it, so I'm out here doing it anyway. So, yoink. Sweet. Got that area complete. So I'm striking a balance right now. Last year was a lot more focused on the fun, what with, you know, the fun and passion, what with doing peculiar potions. That's a cool looking place. This year, I've shifted focus back to, like, less fun, more of what's good for the business, you know, is the case. But still with enough fun that I'm genuinely still having fun doing it. And if anyone's asking me how the content creation journey is going, I say, like, stressful but fun. It can be a lot on my shoulders at times, but I'm having fun with it. I'm having the time of my life when, you know, that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is the discussion that we've had here today, you know, is the case. So, it's a complicated subject matter. You know, when I first started streaming, if I was hearing, like, all the stuff that I'm rambling out now, I would have been like, holy crap, that's what's in store? You know, it's certainly something. A lot of people like to glorify, you know, oh, there's a glowy thing here. A lot of people like to glorify content creation, especially, like, within the gaming space. It's like, oh my goodness, you get to play, like, play video games for a job. That's, like, amazing and so dang cool. And, like, big content creators will be like, oh, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And people will be like, as if you're saying that as someone that's, you know, playing video games for a job. It can't be that bad. Whereas, it's a lot more complicated. Especially when you're in a really weird position like I am, where it's like, it's a business. It's making, you know, a decent amount of income, but it's not enough to financially support you. What do you do from this position? And there are a lot of people that find themselves in this kind of position where they're at, like, the threshold of, like, they're making income, but can they make, like, a full career out of it if they commit to it? And is it worth doing the gamble there? Like, it's something that I've seen recently with one of my content creator friends, Jodo Johnny, for example. Cyrene Arena, where he semi-recently went full-time with content creation. And has been finding, from what I've seen, a decent bit of, I'll just go for the viewpoint on its own then. Since it's showing here anyway. And has found a decent bit of stress trying to get, like, you know, consistent numbers. And being able to make, like, enough income for it to be able to, you know, warrant it being, like, a full-time job there. And, like, I was honestly really surprised when he made that, that announcement there that he was going full-time. Like, all the power to him for going for that. But I would not have personally felt comfortable going, like, full-time at that channel size, you know? Like, if I went full-time with my channel right now, like, no, absolutely not. Gosh dang it. The heck here. I would not feel comfortable doing that. You know, I would stress myself out 101 if I went full-time with this right now. Absolutely not. Is the case. But, you know, I really hope that it is able to work out for him. And so, wait, what? Up? Wait, no. It's, that's just saying that there's a thing around here, right? The actual thing is there. I gotcha. You know, I really hope that it's able to work out for him, but it is really sketchy, you know? Like, if you do really want to go full-time, then at some point you do kind of have to make that leap. One really awful mistake that a lot of people make online is, seeing, like, oh, people can make full-time careers out of, playing video games. I'm gonna quit my job or not pursue a job and just go full-time right now. And as long as I grind enough, then I'll be able to, like, support myself off of this in no time as I slowly dig into my savings. Never do that. If you are ever going to consider going full-time with content creation, establish enough that you'd feel confident to do so. Or at least that, you know, it might still be a little bit of a gamble, but, you know, you feel like committing to it, you'd be able to do it. You cannot do that starting from zero. Absolutely not. Like, don't be one of those kinds of people. That is, like, one of the worst possible decisions that you can make. So over that away. Yeah, let's go this way. Don't ever do that. You know, So, there's that. If the day ever came, like, again, I doubt that it will. I'll try my best to grow this as much as I can and see what comes of it. That's what got me to this point, and I'm already, like, further along here with, you know, a larger channel than I would have ever imagined starting things out here. And, you know, more people who recognize my name than I would have ever imagined. This past, like, last semester in university, I met someone in one of my classes who had seen my video essays, and I was like, wow, you know? So it's already much further along than I would have ever expected. But I do wonder if, in whatever universe, it were ever possible to go full-time. At what point, at what channel size, would I feel confident saying, I can go full-time now, let's do it, let's go for it, you know? Because I feel like it'd be scary at any point. To use Otofu as another example, I remember back when I was a regular in that stream when he was, you know, starting things out as, like, full-time there. And sometimes people would ask him the question, like, at what point in your channel size did you feel confident in going full-time? And his answer was, never. He never felt, like, completely confident. There's always going to be a, you know, sketchiness there. There's always going to be, like, vast differences in, like, you know, paycheck to paycheck that can vary on month depending on, like, your viewership that you get, you know. And, you know, I feel like never is probably a pretty good answer there, you know. And that's what sketches me out here about if I do continue to make... If I do manage to continue making video essays that do keep on doing well, like the Scarlet and Violet video essay, we'll see how that goes. At what point do I say, I'm confident enough doing this, full-time, you know? And that also, in regards to, like, trying to really grow things and trying to, you know, do your best at something, I also want to clarify that saying that you shouldn't have expectations of it going somewhere doesn't mean that you shouldn't aim high, that you shouldn't strive to be the best that you can at something. Like, as I'm editing the Scarlet and Violet video essay, the way that I'm editing it is with the goal in mind to make the highest viewed video on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on YouTube. Will it be? Probably not. But, you know, follow that, what's that one saying where it's like, shoot for the stars, even if you miss, you'll still go over the moon, or whatever the heck that is there. Because if I'm going at it with the goal of, like, making the highest viewed video on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, then that means that if I go in with this mentality, I'm trying to make, like, the best video I can. It's gonna inspire me to make, like, a high-quality video that I can be proud of, and I feel like people are gonna tune into. Rather than just, like, pumping something out for, like, the obligation of people. Like, people expect a Scarlet and Violet video essay from me. Rather than just, like, pumping something out for the obligation of it. Doing something that I can be, like, genuinely proud of, and I feel like would be deserving of, you know, being able to do incredible things, reach incredible heights like that, you know? So, it is also important in content creation, like, to not have expectations, but to still set goals. You know, if that makes sense. It sounds like they're contradictory things almost, but I hope that makes sense there. So Scarlet and Violet essay, I'm trying to make it like the best video I can. Shoot for that there. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna go in with the expectations of like, man, if this isn't the highest viewed Scarlet and Violet video on the platform, I'm gonna be so upsetty spaghetti. I'll doubt myself. It's gonna be like such sad times. No, it doesn't mean that at all. But I am still going to shoot for this unreasonable goal of, you're in the table. I'm on the table. Let's still shoot for this, like, very lofty goal of making it the highest viewed video on the platform, on the thingamabob. Almost certainly not going to happen. So I won't have the expectation, I won't be upsetty spaghetti if that doesn't end up happening. But I'm still going to set that goal, because by process of setting that goal, it's going to, you know, inspire me to make, like, the best video that I can. And, oh, look how nice this looks! This is such a beautiful game! When the top of the water isn't glitching the heck out. Oh, it's so dang cool. There was a Sakurai, this is reminding me, like, both this game looking beautiful and and me talking about this mentality for content creation reminds me of a Sakurai video that went up about a month-ish ago. where, for anyone who isn't aware, Sakurai, the director of Smash Bros. And the guy who created Kirby when he was like 19 years old, nowadays has a YouTube channel where he makes videos on gaming industry related subjects and like gaming principles and stuff like that. And no ads on the videos or anything like that even. He is doing it completely out of pocket, considering it his like reinvestment into the gaming industry to like inspire and teach some people some, you know, gaming industry stuff to be able to go out there and make better video games. And I think that's really cool. Sakurai's amazing. I really like that guy. But one of his videos about a month ago was one that was talking about like the effort put into a game project. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a game. It could be any project. It could be any like big project that you're working on, where in the context of a game, if let's say that I'm not able in this video game to do an air assassination because the air assassination was just really, really hard to program, and maybe the developers can say like the air assassination was really, really hard to program, so that's why it's not in this game. The players aren't going to care about how difficult it was from the developer side. They're just gonna care about like the final product that they get. So, like, it's your obligation to be making your best effort to deliver what... Did I just smash a pot or something? To deliver what you can there. Because what matters isn't how hard it is in the now. What matters is, like, the end result. And that kind of plays into what I was talking about in regards to, like, my Taekwondo instructors talk about, you know, don't focus on how difficult it is in the now. Focus on, like, how much of a reward it'll give you in the future and how impactful of a thing it is, you know? Is a thing. So whether you're working hard in a workout or you're, you know, working hard in a job or working to make the best video game you can, like, you should be trying your best to, you know, make the best end product you can that you can be proud of, you know, that has the best end result. This is so beautiful. Again, apart from that glitching out water there is the case. Sure, let's do some more things around here. I don't know how much more I have to add on this. So, yeah, in that regards, where it's like, don't worry about the effort now. Focus on, you know, the long-term reward there. That can be applied to content creation, and that's kind of what I'm doing with you know, focusing more on video essays this year being my plan. Where it's like, I would have more fun just investing my time doing stuff like this, where, you know, I'm just playing the video games, and I will still do plenty of it, but I'm taking more time to do, like, the higher effort thing of video essays, because I know it's going to give, like, the most long-term benefit, you know, is the case. I'm willing to put in the work to see this through, essentially. Bam! And yoink, sweet. It's so beautiful! I love it! They put in the work on the graphics of this game to make it beautiful, even if it's optimized like crap on PC. They, really made it look beautiful there. And I appreciate that. Is this, like, out of bounds? What is this? Because this is the edge of the... Oh, that's not the edge of the map! Oh! That's the edge of the map. There's still some more stuff in the sea, and the sea is really beautiful. I really quite like this sea. But yeah, and... some might initially think, like, wait, put in the effort now to have, like, the best long-term benefit? Doesn't that mean that you should, like, commit to, like, one thing in the now to, like, have the best odds of growing your channel? And then, you know, have the best long-term benefit later? You gotta remember that if you do, like, commit to just, like, one thing, that you're gonna be pretty locked into that thing, content creation-wise, you know, is a thing. So is that really the best long-term benefit there? For some people it might be, for some people it not. It comes down to, like, each individual person. It would be a decision that you have to make for yourself in the realm of content creation, you know, your own personal decision there. But yeah, when it comes to content creation, I believe it's important not to go in with expectations, but to still shoot for the stars, as long as it's not making you miserable. To do what you're passionate about, whether that be committing to one thing or doing variety like I'm doing, and giving it your best effort, you know. Like, of course, if you're not trying to make anything of it and you're just doing it purely for fun, you know, just do it purely for fun. Not like you need to give it your best effort in that sense there. But if it would be meaningful to you to make something of it, then give it your all. Don't just assume that you can, you know, go live, do some live streaming, and then you'll hit it off because you saw, like, some other creators that have, like, thousands upon thousands of viewers and you're for playing video games, and you're like, huh, I can play video games, I can do that, and then just go in there and expect everything to work out. Because content creation, while it is really nice that, you know, anyone can get into it nowadays, like back in the ye old days, it used to be if you want to make like a show or like high quality content of some sort, you would need a whole studio, a staff, all this expensive equipment. Whereas nowadays, if someone wants to be a content creator, all they need is a smartphone in their pocket, you know? It's a lot more accessible than it's ever been, and there is something magical about that, anyone being able to get into it. But, as a consequence, there is also oversaturation in the market. Everyone and their mother makes content nowadays, on all kinds of platforms, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, TikTok is a really big one nowadays. I personally do not like TikTok, is the case, but, you know, that's my own preference. Everyone's entitled to their own. Maybe sneak around this away or something or other. So anyone can get into it, and that is really cool, and I really like that. But it does result in oversaturation, which means you can't go in with expectations. You know, you can't go in expecting it to work out just because you see somebody like really hitting it off. I can do that, you know, because whew, it is not remotely that simple. If only. If only. You know. I might have, like... Some people might see it as, like, a slightly pessimistic view having this mindset of scarcity rather than a mindset of abundance. Like, some people view content creation as, like, oh, yeah, there's plenty of viewers for everyone. Everyone can really hit it off. But if we're gonna be realistic, you know, the mindset of scarcity rather than the mindset of abundance is, you know, the more realistic one. The more positive and uplifting one and inspiring one would be like, oh yeah, everyone can start and totally hit it off, and there's plenty of viewership and attention to go around. That's not the way the world works. It's not the case. Anyone can get into content creation and find a niche and community. No matter what content you make, you can find like people who will really vibe with you and like meet new incredible people. Anyone can do that, absolutely. But nobody can just like make a career out of it. Because if everyone's making a career out of it, then who's going to be watching and stuff, you know? But if anyone wants to get into content creation just to like meet people, have new adventures, and, you know, explore this territory, anyone can do that. Like, go at it for, you know, go at whatever you're doing. And as long as you're not just, like, the most boring person imaginable, you will eventually get, like, viewers and people who vibe with you and get a bit of a community and stuff like that. And that in and of itself can be an incredibly rewarding thing. Like, I've known a lot of people who've suffered from a lot of mental health issues and a lot of, you know, self-esteem issues that have gotten into content creation and, you know, just get, you know, a handful of viewers that really vibe with them. And have told me that it has done, like, wonders for their mental health and their state and their self-confidence. I know that this channel has helped me with my self-confidence and social anxiety a lot. So anyone who wants to get into a content creation for that reason, go for it. Absolutely, you know? Absolutely go for it, then. That is a great reason to get into it. You know? No doubt about that. And sometimes it can be really demoralizing going for a long time without, you know, any viewership at all. I think I was streaming for like a solid month before I got a viewer in that actually like dropped a follow on this channel, for example. I remember it was during a Pokken tournament stream. It wasn't even during my main game that I was streaming at the time, Smash 4. It was Pokken tournament of all things. I was randomly streaming one day. I think it's because the new DLC content for it came out. Was the case. The like Aegis Slash and Blastoise. Holy crap! I was showcasing that, and I had someone come in. Was the case. Okay. Oh, crap. I figured that might happen. And yeah, sometimes it can be kind of demoralizing in the early times. And there have been times, like, you know, throughout all my content creation years, where I've been like, man, my viewership, like, streaming-wise, is basically the exact same as it's always been for, like, 5 years now. Am I just not an entertaining person? Am I just not a good content creator? Am I just not good enough? And that can, you know, those are very normal thoughts to crop up. But keep going at it, and, like, even if you don't make something big out of it, there will always be people who vibe with you for who you are, if you take the time to find them, you know. It's a more than fair reason to get into content creation is that. So anyone that thinks that they might like to get into it for fun, absolutely go for it. I'm always like a huge advocate for people going for that and trying it out. And anyone that wants any advice about it, that like does want to try, you know, make it into something more and want some advice about, you know, thumbnails, tagging, things they should be doing during their live stream, join the Discord server and hop into like the Twitch help channel or the YouTube help channel. Like, this is something that I'm passionate enough about that we literally have dedicated channels in the Discord server just for like getting help and answering questions related to content creation topics, where myself and other friendos can chip in to help answer any questions that anyone may have, you know, is the case there. So feel free to do so, and I'm glad to help people along the way, because when I was starting out content creation, I didn't have anybody helping me. I was going in completely blind and like being like, what the heck am I doing here, you know? I would have loved to have somebody willing to, you know, give me some advice and tips along the way. So because of that, I tried to be the support for other people that I would have loved myself, you know, is the way that I kind of see it. Area complete. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of Dodge. Is there a good way out of here? But since we've done this long tangent on content creation now, that I can see already being like one long part that I just slap into the podcast playlist at this point, because it is a good discussion to have here. Since we're on this topic anyway, I know that I've chatted before about my, you know, some of the ways that I would say that, you can grow a stream, but I'll just give the SparkNotes plot summary this time. I'm sure I have, you know, other videos within my podcast and discussions playlist that delve into it more properly. But here's the SparkNotes plot summary version. If you're getting into Twitch as a live streamer, you always want to be talking. Like, maybe not like at all times. Oh, this is a big 4. And if I'm a little bit under leveled here, I might not want to do that, you know. Might be a little bit sketchy sketchers. Let's just keep on hitting up viewpoints while I wrap up the last of this thoughts. Oh, because I'm in combat, I guess. Is the case. Now I'm not, right? Now I should not be. And that doesn't mean that you, like, can't take breaths, that you always have to be talking, that you always have to be on as much of a tangent as I am right now. But always be reacting to things, always be saying things, like, generally. Because if somebody tunes into a live stream, and you're not talking for 20 seconds, and they're tuning in right during those 20 seconds that you're not talking, they're just gonna leave. Like, what the heck did I just take damage from there? Like, as I was mentioning earlier, it's a very oversaturated industry. There are plenty of people to find. There's plenty of different channels that you can tune into. There's like 5 million monthly streamers on Twitch. It's insane. And what is it, like 500 hours of YouTube video published every minute or something like that? It might be more than that, actually. It's something crazy. Oh, I could take on this one, but maybe I'll dip out and come back in that case, maybe? So, like, if someone's browsing through a bunch of streams, they're not gonna tune into some stream where nobody's saying anything and stick around for minutes on end being like, I'm sure that, you know, there's something awesome here and that they're a really awesome content creator in person and I'd love to get to know them as they're sitting around playing video games being like, you know, they're just gonna leave. They're just gonna go to another stream, you know? There are plenty of content creators to choose from. So, you gotta remember that you're not special in any way in regards to content creation. That sounds so bad, saying you're not special in any way. Everyone's special in their own way. But in regards to, like, content creation, that, you know, you have to put yourself out there, you know? You have to be someone that people would want to get to know. You can't just sit there in silence playing video games and expect people to come in and chat with you. Because if they tune in during like those spans where you're not talking, they're just gonna leave and they're gonna find someone who does the thing that you're not doing, that you're failing to do. So, continue talking and being entertaining is a big one there. Honestly, the biggest thing is that, I guess I could have chain assassination there even, is what I could have done. One thing that really helps for live streaming is making a schedule, something I have not done in a good while. Because then people know, like, when to tune into you, and they, know, like, at this time after I get home from work or school on Mondays, I can tune into that person that's streaming, and, like, know that consistently. That can make a big difference for viewership. My life is too hectic to be able to commit to a schedule, especially with the wake of editing projects that I spend a lot of time to. When I'm committing time to a streaming, or when I'm committing time to content creation, it might not necessarily be streaming, it might be editing, you know. And you know, bouncing around as many games as I do, and as many video essays as I do, I sometimes need different amounts of time to commit to different things, so I haven't been able to commit to a consistent schedule for a little while. I know that it would help my viewership if I did. I don't think I could do it. Should I grab this first? There's a little fort there. I'll just grab this on the way here. This is what I'll do. How about? Sounds like a good plan there. So that's big there. Those are probably two really important things there. As mentioning earlier, one really big one if you're just trying to grow is just, you know, being consistent in what you play. Couldn't be me. Certainly couldn't be me. If I had a schedule and I was consistent in what I played, I wonder what this channel would be like at that point. I'd probably be miserable though. What are some other good things? If you're on YouTube, tag your videos properly. A lot of people don't really understand how tags work. Tag them properly. Make sure that your thumbnails and titles make it very clear what your video is. Like, you know, some channels do have things be like a mystery what they are until you click on them, but that's typically because they're established channels that do that kind of thing. A really good example of that is Voice Critical, where, you know, he'll title his things really generic things and have a very basic thumbnail of usually just him or, like, some topic in question. And it really simple titles like, I got mad about this today. And it's like a loot box. It's a surprise mechanic, as EA would call it. You don't know what you're gonna get until you click it. And he's such a established creator at this point. You know, people love him for, you know, things like his metaphors. That man has a major talent at, like, metaphors and analogies of things to really crack people up. Like, he's really good at it. That it can be fun looking at videos like that, being like, huh, I wonder what this is about. Clicking it and then finding out. But if you're doing it as, like, somebody who is just starting out content creation, who, like, nobody knows of yet, they're not gonna click something that they don't know what it is, because they don't have, like, any frame of reference for you yet, like they would with someone like Critical, where it's like, this man is well known for his metaphors and funny twists that he does for things, you know, where it's like, I'm willing to click this because I know that I have this already established in my mind that it's gonna have, like, some sort of funny twists like that. Whereas for somebody they've never heard of, it's like, what the heck weird video is that? Why is it being recommended to me? Strange. How about I go watch something else? So that was a mistake that I made with, like, my playthroughs early on the channel. In the early days of content creation, I didn't think it was feasible to make a different thumbnail for every single video in a series. So I just did, like, one generic background and I changed the number by 1 each time. And it was the exact same thumbnail format across them. If anyone clicks, like, the playthroughs shelf on my channel, and since they're in reverse chronological order, scrolls all the way to the bottom and clicks into the older playlists, you'll see just, like, the exact same thumbnail over and over again, but with a, you know, with a slightly different title is the thing, and, like, the number 1 up. And I've always continued to, like, title my videos, like, especially wacky things for my playthrough stuff a lot of the time. Which means that if every one of those has the exact same thumbnail and has, like, some wacky title that you don't know what it's going to mean until you see the video, then you have no idea what goes on in that. Or if someone's looking through your playthrough to find your reactions or how you handled one specific part of that video game, you know, they're not going to be able to look at the playlist and figure out, like, what thing is where. They'll probably just give up instead of even looking, because it's not feasible to look through that. So nowadays I have a system for, for making thumbnails in my video editing software. Yeah, not my graphic design software, but my video editing software for thumbnails. Unless it's like a video essay. If it's like a really dedicated thumbnail, like a video essay, for example, then I make that in my graphic design software. But like my mass-produced playthrough thumbnails, I make those in my video editing software, because I can easily copy-paste all the elements, put them onto another spot on the timeline. and stuff like that, and have them all on the timeline for me to click on anyone at any given time, and it's super handy. This is not great. This is really not fantastic here. I could really use a random boat spawning right now. I mean, wait, I can shoot from the water, though, in this game. Come on. So I can just take your boat, actually, in hindsight. I forgot that you can shoot from the water. That actually changes things. Holy crap, my throat is getting so dry from this insane long tangent. Like, give me a quick water break here. Holy crap. It's 3 in the morning. How long have I been on this tangent? Let's append that first point. Be talking, continuously be saying something, but don't neglect your own health. You know, don't do things like 24-hour cherry streams if you can't handle them. Oh man, I've destroyed my body pretty well sometimes, but I can handle it. Some people can't, though. Know your own limits, you know. Oh man. I think I've, you know, pretty much wrapped up this topic here, though. We covered a lot of ground on this. This actually turned into, like, a really good, deep discussion here. You know, we, Assassin's Creed playthroughs on this channel usually pave way for, like, good, deep discussion on various subjects. Usually it's a lot of back and forth discussing something crazy with everyone in the chat. This time it's been, like, me mostly rambling to myself as the case, because I just straight up have a lot to say on this as is, you know. But yeah, anyway, like, having different thumbnails and stuff like that. I didn't, in the early days of content creation, I didn't think it was feasible until I figured out, like, this trick to essentially set up, like, thumbnail projects within my video editing software. That helped me pull off creating them en masse for my series, no problemo. So nowadays I do that, and, you know, try to have, like, the thumbnail and title be something that lets you know what's going on there. Unless it's something that, like, you know, no one's gonna be searching up for you doing that specific thing anyway. Like an episode of, or part of Assassin's Creed Origins, for example, where I randomly go around doing side quests, for example. No one's gonna be specifically searching for that. It doesn't really matter what title and thumbnail I do for that. I'll have, like, a thumbnail of some random synchronization point that tells people, like, okay, yeah, I was going around exploring and stuff like that during that episode. Not too important. During stuff like this, I'll evidently have some sort of title that pertains to, like, content creation discussion. You know, evidently, will be the case, since there is a dedicated discussion that happens here that sets it apart. But otherwise, like, generically exploring around and side questing like this can just be called, like, whatever. No one's gonna be searching for this anyway. But, like, story stuff, I'll title and thumbnail it something that is specific to, you know, that story event that happens during that part, you know? Is the thing. Something that you can't really do with my older series. You want to figure out what occurs where in the series? Looking through one of my older playlists? Yeah, good luck. I'm kind of glad I don't do that anymore. You know, there have been a lot of things that I do/don't do anymore with the content creation journey. A lot of things I've learned over the years. Definitely with this whole discussion. A lot of which I probably have locked away in my brain, but isn't at the forefront of my memory right now. So again, if anyone has any specific questions, just hop into the Discord and just ask in, like, those channels. I am always down to talk to people about, like, content creation stuff and helping people with their own content creation journeys, you know. Is the case. Time to die! Heavy blunt. Man, I can't wait until I cut this up into parts later and, you know, I make this whole discussion here just one part and I see how long this ended up being. I think I'm gonna get this viewpoint and then I'm gonna call it a night. I'm pretty much done with this discussion. Orders from Pothinus. Unas, have your man stationed at Camp Nisi and hold that position. Cleopatra is known to frequent Herakleon, and we want you to keep a close watch on her movements. Well, time to die! I did not mean to read that again. But the time to die button is the same button as the read button. Same as in real life. Yeah, let's go get this viewpoint. It's a very tricky field. There's a lot of subject matter to it. There was a time that I even thought about making guides to, like, content creation. I'm not thinking about doing that anymore. I can't really see myself doing that, more so video essays. But nowadays, here and there, I do occasionally have the passing thought of making a dedicated video essay that I'm reading the same thing again, I guess. That just delves into like content creation and basically encapsulates all the stuff that we went through during this discussion, you know, is the case. I have thought about that before. If I ever do that, it wouldn't be for a good while because, you know, so many other projects all the time. And hey, here's this video that'll be present on the channel that I can refer people to whenever they're like, hey, can you, I want to hear your thoughts on content creation stuff. I'd be like, hey, here's basically the whole gist of it, you know. That's basically the case. But if you want, you know, growing a channel more in depth, I do have, like, some dedicated discussions on that on the channel within the podcast and discussions playlist, which I'll be sure to link that playlist in the description of this video. And that, in that case, for anyone who's interested in some of those. Speaking of, we are actually starting a dedicated podcast on the channel soon. So I might have, like, a separate playlist for that compared to stuff like this. So we might well do. Rather than have podcasts and discussions playlist, have a discussions playlist and a podcast playlist. Create a separation there. Might well have to do that. There's nothing around here else I want to do right. Just those things. We've been going pretty ham tonight. You know, we made some good story progress. We're approaching, like, the climax here, it feels like. Like, we might be able to beat the main game next stream. And then, I don't know if we'd start, like, the DLC immediately after that. Oh, events? Is that not that, then? Oh, it'd be here under main. The hidden ones, Curse of the Pharaohs. What's my level right now, anyway? I have to back out here. My level is 36. So, yeah, it thinks that I'm ready for Curse, or not Curse of the Pharaohs, the hidden ones here. Because the final weighing is suggested level 35. So yeah, could probably go right into the DLC after it. Might be strong enough level. I might want to do some more side questing, grind up a little bit more just to be safe, especially on nightmare mode here. We'll see. But yeah, we're getting there. We made some fantastic progress this stream, and ended up having a really crazy discussion that I wasn't expecting to have. So yeah, there's that. I'm calling it a night here. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, you're tired too. You're like, it's 3 in the morning. Why hasn't he gone to sleep yet? What's going on with you? Is probably what you're thinking, huh? You. Stealth kill streak? What? Who did I kill and how? I just stood here doing nothing and I killed somebody? Racism, am I right? Anyway, yeah, we're done. we're done for tonight. Ugh, big stretch. I'm kind of tired. I'm gonna go conk out after this, I think. That's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, so thanks everyone who tuned in for this set of shenanigans, this part of Assassin's Creed Origins, or just this discussion, maybe even. And yeah, until next time, where we're gonna play the game a little bit more casually, without, you know, having a discussion for, you know, probably like a couple hours long here. We shall see. We'll probably finish off this main story next stream, is what we'll do. We'll get there. Hi, sweetie. Hi, you. Sweet doggy. And yeah, I'm gonna head out of here for now. So until next time, take care, and see you. Goodbye.